Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Crucible. You've entered at a very critical moment here. Me and Andrew are having kind of an argument that we're going to have to start out with. We have our guest down the bottom. We'll bring him in later. But yeah, we're here to pretty much have a discussion on guns. But first, we have to settle something very critical. Andrew, you want to tell him what's going on?
Yeah, I do, and I got to get Connor or counterpoints in on this. So,
Okay.
counterpoints. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
Good. So we were just having an argument earlier about John Wick, right? And Pedro seems to think that John Wick could take John Rambo, and that's bullshit.
That is bullshit.
It's bullshit, right?
What?
Yeah.
It's
All right.
bullshit,
Okay.
dude.
Okay,
All right.
hold up. Can I explain why?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I love John Wick. Okay, love it.
Okay.
Absolute fucking badass. It's a great action flick. Blah 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 blah. His gun fu is all fucking like 10 yards and in, right? Like it's all close quarters. It's all fucking right next to him. Like he's wrestling him. He's gujitsuing them and all that kind of stuff. It's not that John Wick can't do long distance shit. But all Rambo has to do is fucking hide in a tree and fucking bow and arrow his ass while he's fucking walking around in an environment that he's not familiar with, okay? So, all right, hold up. So let me rephrase. I think John Wick would do very well and could potentially take Rambo in any major metropolitan city. But if we're moving into a natural environment, it's not even fair. John Rambo is just absolutely fucking slaughtering John Wick. That's my final thought.
Come on. John Wick would get tangled up in 50,000 Rambo booby traps before he ever got fucking near.
All right.
Near Rambo.
So I could concede. I'll give you the natural terrain of the jungles and stuff like that. We've all seen that. He
Right.
has that in spades. But home invasion, I mean, I could pull up a scene right here where we see him take out everybody. And to set the record even more straight, Counterpoints is right. His gun judo is probably perfect because at the end of every motion is a bullet. It's not gonna be like I got you in an arm bar, I'm gonna snap your arm. It's like, no, I was just waiting so I can get to your head. Boom.
But
So-
the frustration with me for that is that like like trust me, I love John Wick, okay? So I'm just talking the slightest bit of shit. But like
Okay.
if you're doing gun judo with like 6 assholes across a room, and then there's one guy who's actually smart enough to not run right at you and to just chill at like 15 yards while like scoping in on you, and then you get done killing your 5th guy, all that 6th guy has to do is just mag dump into your ass. And the fact that none of the bad guys do that in the John Wick series is actually very frustrating for me. It's not that it's not beautiful. It's beautiful cinematography. It's beautiful aesthetics. It's beautiful choreography. I love the John Wick series. But if I was a bad guy and I was going up against John Wick, if he's taking out both of y'all, I'm just waiting for him to kill both of you, and then I'm going to fucking mag dump into his ass. I'm not running up to try to wrestle him to save your lives. I've already seen him kill 15 fucking bad guys. I already know it's John Wick. I'm not fucking with that shit.
Yeah, and when's the
Okay.
last time John Wick got on a 50 and took out a whole battalion, Pedro?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, okay. So yes, he does not have he only has small arms experience. But in a realistic scenario, where's a 50 cal just going to be laying around in downtown LA? It's just
Well,
not
what
going
do
to
you
happen.
mean a realistic
Whoa.
scenario? But there's PS90s and everything else in John Wick's universe. You know what I mean?
Listen.
Everything's fully automatic in John Wick's universe.
Listen, John Wick is supposedly one of the best international assassins who has ever existed. So if it's a major metropolitan area, I'm assuming he's going to do his homework and his intel. Rambo's going to be out of his element. He's going to be all PTSD and anxious because he's in a public place. And as a result, he's going to be at a disadvantage, and John Wick can capitalize on that advantage, right?
There you
But
go.
if John Wick is assigned to kill John Rambo, and Rambo knows he's coming, I don't even think he's getting fucking close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a difference because it's the booby trap thing where you would get me. I've never seen John Wick deal with booby traps. I've seen him make his own booby traps where he didn't actually make booby traps. Remember the catacomb scene where he just like sets all his stuff up, his escape route? And he's just like, all right, I know I'm going to have to, this is going to get dicey.
I've seen 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3 yet, unfortunately. So, I got to...
What?
So way to spoil it for him, prick.
No.
Oh my God.
It's
I
totally
mean,
fine
it's
because I
kinda
watched
late
the
now
YouTube
for
clips.
years.
It's fine. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I gotta 4-year-old kid now, so I haven't had time for shit in a half decade. So
That's true.
Yeah.
So
What
are
did
you?
you say? 4 years old?
Yeah.
You got a lot of gray in that beard for such a little kid running around, man.
Well, it's not as Indiana Jones, somebody who could kill both John Rambo and John Wick, would say, it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Well, I mean, he would at least be able to. Well, he might be able to because he could avoid all of Rambo's booby traps, right? Like Indiana Jones is the perfect person to avoid booby traps. That's his thing, isn't it?
It's what he does.
Yes.
Yeah, so he could absolutely take out Rambo. And then and then like John Wick, shit. All right, I froze for a second, but John Wick is like doing his like gun judo moves or whatever, and then kind of like the scene where like Harrison Ford sees the guy with like the scimitar who's like waving around his sword, and he's just like,
Boom! I remember that scene. That was perfect.
So tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, is on guns. It's all about guns. We're going to talk a lot about guns. We got Counterpoints here with us till about 11 p.m. We got a lot of people who are going to be coming through, popping on, saying hello, and we're going to be talking just guns, just shop talk. Maybe there'll be some arguing. Maybe there won't be any arguing. But I really want to talk about guns. Just want to have an old school chat about them. So first and foremost, Counterpoints. AK-47 is better than the AR-15. Fight me, bro.
Okay, all right. So I'm setting up my chat so they know what they're talking about. So I hope y'all can still hear me. For what is my follow-up question?
Well, the AK-47 is the best room clearing device on planet Earth.
If you're trying to fucking kill everything in the goddamn room, yeah. Sure.
Yep. Is that Jackie Brown? That is Jackie Brown.
But hold on. Let me before I do anything, let me just update my my title card so people fucking know, because I want to fight you with both of my gun judo hands.
Okay.
All right. Big Papa.
And Andrew, can you confirm this for me real quick? Because I'm just going back to my prior knowledge and what I was taught, but what I learned was the farther away our American forces are, the more effective our weapon systems are, because we're dealt with range combat.
Pretty much.
But say like the Russians, their weapon systems become more effective as soon as you get closer.
Well, I'm going to give you an excellent rule of thumb.
Okay.
The AK-47 is more accurate than you think it is, and the AR-15 is a little more reliable than you think it is. That's a pretty good rule of thumb to live by. Especially the Russian made and Polish made AK-47s, 400 meters, they're good weapons. Now, if you start talking about 800, 900 meters, which it doesn't matter what weapon systems you're using at that point, nobody's fucking great at 900 meters. Go ahead, Counterpoint.
Yeah, so I wanna begin this with basically like starting off with some. Guns are tough because they're very technical. They're like cars. Information is coming out all the time. People have preferences and biases and like all that kind of stuff. So what ends up happening is you repeat something for like 5 years, and then somebody's like, "Hey, that shit is out of date, and it's an urban legend, and you're an idiot, and you need to shut the fuck up." And then you cringe to death. That's how talking about guns is. But I run in gun circles, so most of the cringe that I say has been beaten out of me. But just by virtue of us talking about guns tonight, I'm expecting at least a half dozen comments where they're like, "Connor, you're wrong about this. You're wrong about that." Burp, burp, burp. Like I'm just expecting that shit. So with my little addendum put out of the way, as far as I know, there's two kinds of targets when it comes to engagement, right? Point and area. Point is a human-sized target. Area is either a vehicle or a group of people. So for point, I want to say that the AK-47 is rated out to 200 yards, which is actually pretty close. It fires a 7.62 by 39, which is a really fat round with a decent chunk of powder, but not a lot of powder behind it. And then when you start to move into like area, like BPF was saying, like you can push it out 400, 500, you can get in the ballpark and do some damage and all that kind of shit, right? So the question is, what are you using the gun for, basically? And then the reason why people like the AR-15, despite it being an intermediate cartridge, which is sometimes underpowered in certain scenarios, is it's very accurate and it's very well machined. You can push it out to a point target at 500 yards, which means you can hit it. But when you're hitting it at 500 yards, like, it's not like a 30 caliber round, like a 338 or a 308, like a bigger bullet that's just going to knock him down flat on its ass. It's more like it's going to rip a fucking hole in him, and you're going to see whether or not it kills them once it rips a hole on them. I am not volunteering to get hit by a 5.56 at 500 yards, but there is a chance that I'll survive and I'll just be wounded. And that's kind of where the debate comes in, is the AR-15 is a drama queen. You have to clean it. You have to take care of it. You have to love it. You have to put on accessories. You have to do this. You have to do that. You gotta love your AR-15. Whereas your AK-47, you can beat the shit out of it. You can literally leave it in like the Vietnamese jungle for like 50 years, get it out, like knock off the mud and knock off like the rust a little bit and shoot it. And there's a high chance that it's still going to fire because it's mechanically very simple. It's designed to be rugged. The tolerances, like basically the gaps between parts are so wide that they will allow dirt and mud and debris and dust into the parts and continue to function. So there are mechanical advantages to the AK-47. But what I would say is if I was in the United States and I was in a zombie apocalypse scenario, I'm taking an AR-15 and a Glock, AR-15 and 5.56, a Glock and 9mm. I'm not taking an AK.
Okay, so here's my 15 cents on this. So I've been a gunsmith for most of my adult life. I've owned several gun shops. This is where I started my my adult career, was in guns. I started as a NRA instructor at age 21, and been kind of in the gun racket ever since then. I'm 37 now. So from my perspective, the AK-47 is what you would want in that zombie apocalypse. And the reason you would want that AK-47 in that zombie apocalypse is because it's low maintenance. Low maintenance, AR-15's high maintenance. So you're right that when you're talking about the fat little round, it's a 30 cal, 7.62 by 3.9, right? The 223 is basically just a hopped up fucking 22 on steroids. Now, it does a lot of damage, especially with modern ammunition, especially if you have green tip ammo or you have flex tip ammo. It'll pop a fucker's head like a zit. There's no doubt about it. But you know what I really like about that AK-47? I like that you can take the dust cover off and dig your own defensive position with the dust cover, put it back on, and fucking fight all night. I don't want to ever touch the weapon. I don't want to maintain the weapon. I don't even want to look twice at the weapon. I just want to fucking shoot it, and then I want to throw it in the closet and never worry about it again.
Okay. So, you know, bad faith, big papa fascist, okay, over here, all right? So you said the 5.56 or the 223 is just a hopped up 22. And you already said this, but I'm just going to ask it again so we have it for the record, okay? Hopped up 22, what I inferred from that, or what I think you're trying to imply to the audience, is that it's a bullshit, tiny, little, dinky fucking round that's just hopped up on gas.
No, it's a 22 cal.
So that this is what I wanted to ask. Would you volunteer to, you take one at 500 yards and see what shakes out?
No, I certainly wouldn't. Do you know what else I wouldn't take?
Just wanted the record.
You know what else I wouldn't take at any yardage?
Yeah.
A 22 at any yardage.
What's
the deadliest round in the United States?
Oh, 308 win.
No. 22 LR.
Oh, you're talking about the frequency.
22 LR, man, killed more people than the fucking Black Plague.
Yeah, but there's a meme group that I'm in. It's like a group where we all pretend that the 22 long rifle is the best round ever made, and like it's like I got my 22. I killed a hog at 75 yards with my 22. Long rifle.
Well, there is something to be said about the fact that you can carry 1,000 rounds of 22 long rifle on you, and it feels like you have, basically a heavy wallet in your back pocket, right? Okay. There is something to be said about that.
But
if the AR had a gas piston, would you take it over the AK? No. Still wouldn't take it over the AK.
Yeah. And that's like that's where things have evolved a lot in the past 15 years, right? So I have global war on terror information, which means that my information is about 10 to 15 years out of date. I do try to keep up with some gun folks on what's going on. There are a lot of really cool and really interesting things that are coming out. One of the things that I wouldn't mind bringing up is they're going to caseless. They're going to plastic casing. And also they're moving to something called 6.8. So there's something called a 6.8 TBRCM, I think. And basically it's something that delivers 308 terminal ballistics, but uses less powder and is in a plastic case, and it's 30 to 40% lighter. And the average person, carrying a magazine to the range and then, plinking rounds at the 25-yard range or whatever, that's not, you don't give a shit about the weight of the cartridge. But if you're a machine gunner and you're carrying around a 10 to 20 pound machine gun for 8 hours a day, then having a 30%, 40% reduced weight load for your ammo actually is quite important. So it's a cool development. I hope they adopt it. I think you're muted, BPF.
Yeah. The most quiet and effective round at 100 yards?
Yeah, let me adopt this. Or let me check what mic I'm using. Excuse me.
Yeah, I can't hear you right now. Can you hear me, Counter?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I'm just
We can't hear you, Andrew. You cut out completely.
Yeah, 22. To answer this question, what's the most quiet round and effective round at 100 yards? I'd go with a 22 long rifle subsonic. That's about the quietest you can possibly get. It's not very accurate at 100 yards, but if you put it in the right rifle, it'll do its job. But it sure is quiet. If you put a suppressor, or you get one of those 1022 suppressed barrels and you slap it on, and you run one of those subsonic 22s, all you can hear is the action click. It's fucking amazing.
Really?
Yeah, that's all you can hear is the action click.
Can y'all hear me better now?
Yeah,
we can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, much.
So yeah, somebody in the audience pointed out that I was a little quiet, so I switched mics. But yeah, so and that's the thing. It's like I kind of memed about it a little bit, but I don't think anybody is volunteering to step in front of any of these fucking things anytime soon. It is a tiny metal ball going a few hundred feet per second. It's not fun. So.
Right.
Oh, low end
in a house.
Yeah, can I answer this question because it's actually one of the most important things about it.
I'm going to be throwing them up all night, man.
Yeah, low end theory says, how does a plastic case react to excessive heat? So this is actually one of the main selling points of the plastic casing. So apparently, I forget the difference, but like metal is a conductor or something like that, basically meaning that it actually does transfer heat from the brass casing to the rifle, whereas there's some kind of like thermodynamic property for the plastic where the plastic absorbs the heat. So it actually like reduces the speed at which the firearm gets hot, like by like 70%. So
yeah, there a lot of times you'll see, especially with Soviet grade weapons, that they use an aluminum casing. And that works really, really well when you have loose actions like AK-47s, works terrible when you have tight actions like AR-15s. You get aluminum casing will get stuck against that extractor and tear it right off. And it's pretty amazing to watch it happen in real time, man.
Okay. I've never heard about this before. What's a loose and a tight action?
Yeah, Pedro, BPF, just feel free to correct any of my cringe. But this is actually one of the things that differentiates the platforms and allow them to be accurate at different ranges. So the AK is basically designed around the fact that there's space in the mechanics of the interior. That way, if debris gets inside it, it continues to function. Whereas an AR-15 is designed where there's no space at all. Everything is less than an eighth of a millimeter away from everything else. And because it's so tight, it can create better pressure. It can create better accuracy. It can create better consistency. So while the huge advantage in reliability goes to the AK, those very specific manufacturing tolerances that are in the AR-15 are what allow it to be accurate at 500 yards.
Right. If you slow an AK-47 down when it's fired, the whole fucking rifle does this. The whole action just kind of flexes. Barrel kind of flexes down. The whole thing was designed to be loose. You know what I mean? And it's that basically all of its strengths are all of its weaknesses. It's the same thing. The AR-15 probably overall is a slightly more quality weapon when it comes to being a battle rifle, right? But the AK-47 is a good preferable thing for any urbanite, I would say, right? And what are you going to get into as far as an urban street fight, right? if you ever actually had to defend yourself with a rifle.
You're probably max 50 yards away from each
All
other.
right, maybe
Right.
100. You know what I mean? You're gonna tear. Now, remember that bank robbery? This bank robbery happened back in the 90s, where those dudes showed up, Connor, with those fucking.
I'll
they had
literally
those
Google it.
AKs
Yeah.
that were all drum fed,
Yeah.
and they pinned down the cops for hours. Just they cut their cars to Swiss cheese. Just
Is this Los Angeles? Are you talking about Los
Yeah.
Angeles?
The
Hollywood?
North
Heck
Hollywood
yeah.
shootout.
That changed the whole game, I think. Right?
Yeah, and
They
that's
still use-
actually where cops started carrying, like, they used to just have the shotgun, and they used to just have the pistol, and that's actually why they started carrying patrol rifles, was because of the North Hollywood shootout. They actually needed something that was capable of defeating armor after a few hits.
link
Man.
a pic, man. I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the CMMG MK47 Mutant.
I gotcha. I'm looking for it.
Yeah. Well, now I want to see it. MK47 Mutant. You heard of that? Counterpoints?
No.
If I remember correctly, it was the one that was like it's able to carry AK rounds, but it looks or like an AK mag, but it looks different. I forget, dude. There's so many fucking guns. And then,
Yeah, but there needs to be more, though. We don't have enough. I don't care what anybody says. What about background checks, man? Are you a background check conservative or what?
Yeah. So so let's do it. So yeah, let's get into politics, or else they're gonna yell at me for irresponsible platforming because we're just bullshitting about the mechanics of guns for a while. But the so when it comes to background checks or whatever, I think 4473 is like the ATF form or whatever. That should just be at the point of sale, right? Like that should just be at the FFL. When it comes to private transfers or whatever, I don't care if there's like a federal background check system that you can tie into, but I don't want the serial numbers to be attached to that secondary peer-to-peer sale. Because basically that all that is a de facto registry. So, in principle, the way this would work, because I'm trying to come up with compromise, right? I'm like the centrist. So the way that
counterpoints bad.
I know. Wrong place for it, but it's okay. We'll survive. So the point is that, like, what people complain about or what they're afraid of is people selling firearms to people who don't deserve them. So if you had a peer-to-peer background check system where somebody could give you their ID, you could check it, and then you could sell them the weapon, but then the serial number wasn't attached and all that kind of stuff. You could still do peer-to-peer in a way that the government couldn't necessarily track it, while still having all of the benefits of a background check system. And let's say that we're in a free country and you make a liability mistake. You're just buying, ARs and A15, AK-47s, and then you're going down into like a bad neighborhood and you're just selling them out of your trunk to people or whatever. If those in turn are used in a crime, and then they come back to the original 4473 and they find that you didn't use the background check system, then maybe not like a criminal issue, but they could go after you for like civil damages or something like that, where you could get sued. So yeah, that's kind of my compromise centrist solution.
Well, when you say though that you want to compromise, haven't we already compromised? Wasn't that the point of the 4473 to begin with the Brady Act in the 90s?
Yeah, probably, but like everybody's all ass mad about guns, and I don't see this ending. So I would rather. Okay, so for instance, like this is my no shit take. I would rather compromise on like something like background checks without a serial number and do intelligent policy that I think serves the interests of the right and the left, versus continue to ignore the problem and see the issue used as a political cudgel that eventually results in an assault weapons ban or a magazine capacity limit or some shit like that. Because assault weapons bans are bullshit. Capacity limits are bullshit. 80% of the things, 90% of the things that Democrats propose as far as gun control has nothing to do with actually reducing fatalities and only has to do with limiting what like normal people can access.
So aren't they going to just do the same exact thing if we limit the very first time somebody goes and buys a gun and the serial isn't registered and they come out and go, oh, they did a mass shooting and we might have been able to prevent it if we had known about A, B, and C. Or it was stolen and we couldn't track it down via the serial. So then somebody did something bad. It's just going to be the same shit, isn't it?
Sure, but that's where I think it gets into liability, because part of the problem right now is we don't have consequences, right? Like for certain behaviors. So what I would say is what this does, or what my little compromise solution does, is that you have the background checks at the point of sale. You only have like you have legal citizens purchasing firearms, which is their God-given right, and they're doing the background checks. You're also having background checks for peer-to-peer. The reason why I don't want serial numbers attached for peer-to-peer is because that creates a de facto registry, right? If the government is aware of every single purchase, every single firearm, when it transfers hands, all that kind of stuff, then they have a de facto registry. They don't even need one, right? So what the peer-to-peer sales background check does is it allows people to sleep at night where they say, hey, listen, I got a firearm. It's for sale. Send me your driver's license or whatever. I'll run your background. But then the peer-to-peer sale is not tracked. All it is driver's licenses, and the government knows that a transaction happened, but they don't know what the serial number of the firearm that was transferred does, right?
Are you streaming to Twitch right now?
Just YouTube. Just
YouTube. Yeah, Tom, we got the Twitch stream down, man. If you want to pop on, you're welcome to.
Cool. So the reason why I like this is because it gives private citizens, they don't have to do the peer-to-peer background check. But then if they're doing shady shit, like they're doing straw sales, or if they're doing, or if they're like selling to like known terrorists or some shit, or like some crazy fucking asshole who's on the verge of committing a mass shooting, then you still have liability, which means that like for me, maybe they should go to jail if they knowingly sell a weapon to a dangerous person. But if they unknowingly sell a weapon to a dangerous person and don't use the background check system, then at that point it becomes third-party liability, which basically means that if you caused a wrongful death by selling the gun to an asshole, then you can be sued for what you're worth. And hey, that's you caused damage.
Would you want to see that? Would you want to see that confined to just guns? Like, couldn't you make the same case for cars? I sold my car to an unhinged asshole, and he went and ran over a bunch of people. Would I be liable for that?
No, but you wouldn't be liable for that because we have insurance. So, and we have mandated insurance, whereas I'm not interested in mandating insurance for guns, unless you think that solves the problem. But for me, I think that leaves a bunch of problems unsolved.
Well, I don't understand though. If you sold your car, what would your insurance have to do with anything?
I'm saying that anybody who owns a car has mandated insurance by law in every state in the country. That's what I'm saying. So the liability, if you hurt or kill someone, like if you hurt or kill somebody in a car and you're in that car, then okay, let me answer your question more directly. If somebody says, I'm gonna run a U-Haul truck into a crowd of people, and the U-Haul representative is like, that's cool, I want to make the $80 rental fee for this truck, that person should absolutely fucking go to jail and get sued 100%. And then the reason why it doesn't work for liability is because basically, like, we require insurance on all automotive vehicles that are driven on the street, whereas I would not be interested in seeing that as a requirement for the guns, because then that's just a cost prohibition, and anybody who's too poor to afford the insurance, they buy a gun, they use it in a self-defense situation, and then they don't have the insurance, and then they have a criminal penalty for not carrying liability insurance. That's fucked up.
So wait a second. So I'm just like going through this scenario in my head. Mm-hmm. Go into a U-Haul shop. You're like, look, man, I just want to get a U-Haul. There's no background check. There's no nothing, right? Your license comes in. It's good. Okay. You get the U-Haul. You'll run over a shitload of people. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're responsible for that, not the guy who rented you the U-Haul, right? Why would that be necessarily different with the guns exactly? So if you sold the gun to a person, why don't you just hold the person liable for doing the bad thing with it?
Because even in your scenario, there's licensing and a license check. I don't want licensing for firearms.
Okay, but you want background checks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't you have to show proof that you had the background check in your system?
No, I mean, the transaction would be stored. So it would just be driver's license, sale, no firearm. And that way you can do like retroactive criminal investigations. So for instance, like there's two things that we're trying to prevent here. We're trying to prevent like crimes, or we're trying to reduce crimes, and we're trying to investigate crimes, but we're also trying to prevent mass shootings. Those are the two things that we're going to do. We're not going to succeed 100% with either one of them. We're just trying to reduce them, right? For retroactive criminal investigations, if you have a background check system that doesn't have a serial number, then what you can do is you can use the 4473, find out where the firearm was sold, find out the initial purchaser, go to the initial purchaser and say, hey, listen, this gun, this serial number was used in a crime. We're investigating it. We saw that you did 6 sales transactions. Who did you sell this gun to? And then that person can say, oh, I sold it to Frank. And then they can go to Frank. And then that way, till you find the person who actually owns the gun. Once you find the person who owns the gun, if that person didn't use the background check system before it was used in a crime, that person is now civilly liable for any damages that might have occurred.
Right. But right now, the 4473 itself is not registration.
You're right. But it could be de facto if you wanted it to be.
I don't see how. They would have to determine where the gun came from originally.
The 4473s go to the ATF, don't they?
No, they don't. The 4473 stays with the federal dealer. It's true that during the background check, when you call it in, you give them the serial number for the gun, and you write it down in the form 4473. But they purge their system every single day. Did you know that? They have NRA reps on site that make them do that so that there is no federal registry. Otherwise, that's what that would be.
So I used to work at a gun shop. Mm-hmm. My impression is that federal, whoever you're talking about or whatever, they get copies of the 4473.
They don't.
Okay. I'm just telling you what I was told. Again, gun stuff is very interesting and fucked up and weird, and I'm sure different states are different and like all that kind of shit.
Well, this is federal, so that's all federal stuff. So it's uniform. Okay.
What I would be super duper. Okay, so this is interesting to me. You're saying the 4473 transaction.
You can find it all right there.
Okay. You're saying the 4473 digital transaction is purged from the records on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, not the serial number acquisition. Yes, it is. That's why the federally licensed dealer is required to keep the form on hand for 20 years.
Okay.
I think they're now going to up it for life.
Yeah. So I'm happy you said that because who's required to hold on to it for 20 years?
The FFL.
The dealer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of where we can probably cross the bridge, even if there's like technical details that I got wrong, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that the 4473s exist and the fact that there was like a transaction or whatever, if at any point, Joseph R. Biden decides, hey, all FFLs have to send in all copies of all 4473s for the past 20 years. This is now a legal requirement, blah, blah, blah. It's required going forward, and it's retroactive 20 years. Let's just say that gets through Congress for some reason or whatever. You can post hoc create a registration with 20 years worth of records. I think that's the main thrust of the point.
Yeah, no, you could. And federally licensed dealers have been concerned about it for a long time, right? That you could make a federal registration just based on all of the 4473s. But right now, we don't seem to have a huge problem considering how many personal transfers are made in firearms and just how rarely they're actually used in any type of criminal activity. I'm not really sure that your system, while it might placate the left for a time, I'm not sure that it would actually be effective in any way at curbing any kind of problems.
Sure. Oh, yeah. You definitely wouldn't like the system that I have that like it wouldn't even be effective, but it would still be something that I'm comfortable with. So yeah, let's get into that because sometimes like policy or whatever, unfortunately, like, with conversations, debates or whatever, you have a limited amount of time to convey a certain amount of information. So when you convey a single idea, people are like, oh, he only believes in this. And it's like, nah, motherfucker, I got like 10 other beliefs that are related to this shit. So,
can we really quick, I just want to, I'm the layman here probably on the legal aspect, but I just want to know for sure how this works. So if I give a pencil to Andrew for a quarter, he gives me a quarter in exchange for the pencil, and then he uses that pencil 30 minutes later to stab someone in the face and kill them, I can be held liable?
Okay, so did Andrew, in this hypothetical scenario, say, hey, Connor's an asshole. I'm going to go stab him in the throat, but I have no access to any sharp instruments right now because I'm legally prohibited from having sharp incidents. I see that you have a pencil in your hand right now. I will give you a whole quarter so I can go stab Connor right in his stupid fucking throat.
No,
and
he never
you do
said
that. And you do that. Do you think that you have partial responsibility for me getting stabbed in the throat?
If that was the scenario, yes. But
Okay.
no, he was just saying, "Hey, man, I need a pencil. I have a quarter here.
Sure.
Exchange. Here you go."
Sure. So let's run this back with my scenario. Let's say that we have a voluntary pencil background check system,
Okay.
where you're like, hey, there's a lot of pencil stabbings in the United States of America. It's a common thing for people to walk into the mall and stab 30 people with pencils. This is an important and controlled item.
Okay.
Andrew walks up to you, looking as he does, and he says, "I want a pencil." And you're like, this guy's kind of shady, right? This dude's kind of shady. So you're like, fuck it. I'm gonna do the voluntary background system. I'm afraid that, this dude's gonna do something crazy.
Okay.
You do the voluntary background check system. Turns out that this dude has a history of pencil stabbings. He's just been fucking going buck wild. The cops haven't caught him. He's just a fucking serial pencil stabber. And then you sell him the pencil anyways. Are you partially responsible?
Man, yeah, I see. This is the problem with me. I don't think this is how the everyday person thinks, because I'm just going through how I bought my first gun, and this is exactly how it went down. My friend was stacked with guns, and he just said, "You don't have a gun?" He looked me in the face, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't." And he was like, "Do you have $300?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I do." And then he showed me his selection, and then I got my picking, and then I got my first gun.
Yeah. So let me address the people, because right wingers tend to be incredibly individualistic. Oftentimes consequences want to be imposed upon the individual, right? I'm a communitarian, which means that I think there's an interplay between the individual and the community, and that interplay is important because that's how we build a functioning society, right? The problem with insisting on the individual only responsibility is oftentimes the people who are committing terrorist events or mass shootings, they're not interested in individual consequences. They don't give a fuck about going to jail or prison, or they're going to commit suicide. So the individual incentive that's typically there that would psychologically back somebody out of this kind of proposition does not exist for mass shooters or terrorists. So when you encourage third-party liability, where you're like, hey, if you're fucking around, somebody's kind of shady, and you just sell them a gun, no questions asked or whatever, and they kill somebody, you can be sued. What that's going to do is it's going to put a certain shock into the system where people are going to say, oh shit, if I fucking handed Pedro a fucking pistol, or if I hand Pedro a pencil and he goes and stabs Andrew, I'm not going to jail, but I could be sued because I gave Pedro a pencil. So I'm going to make sure Pedro's not a fucking psycho, and I'm going to run him through a system before I hand him the pencil, because if he stabs Andrew, then, I'm going to get in trouble. So
yeah, but how often? So, I mean, what happens if the government decides to prosecute you for selling a gun to somebody and you didn't have any idea? Now, you still have the expense of the trial and everything else. Even if you're found innocent, you can definitely see how that could be misused against the average citizen.
100%. But this is the interesting thing, because you already said earlier in the conversation, or earlier in our conversation, this is a statistical abnormality. Terrorist attacks and mass shootings are very rare. The chances that you're going to sell a gun to somebody and it's going to be used in a mass shooting is astronomically small. Pedro could walk around just throwing pencils out of his fucking window for the next 2 weeks, and the chances of somebody getting stabbed with one of those pencils is near zero. So that's one thing. And then number two, I'm not trying to, pivot, but this is not even the tool that I think is worthwhile for terrorism or mass shootings, right? So the tool that I think is worthwhile, and I'm going to fucking piss off chat, but then I want them to follow me out on a limb here, is emergency risk protection orders, known as red flag laws. Okay? The problem, follow me, and then we can fight about it. The problem with red flag laws is there's no fucking due process. That's the problem with red flag laws. It's not that somebody is potentially a risk, somebody potentially has an issue, blah, 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 they're doing meth, they're saying that they're going to murder their ex, et cetera, et cetera. Cops show up and take the guns. That's not the fucking problem. The problem is that the only person who's deciding whether or not this is going to happen is a single judge. And the only person who's deciding whether or not that order continues is a single judge. And we've already seen that abused already in the system. So that's where the I would say that if a right as important as the Second Amendment is going to be revoked or even suspended, there has to be a jury of peers involved in that process.
Gotcha. Hey, Culture Thug, meet counterpoints, Culture Thug.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going? So I take it we're talking about gun laws and
We're
Yeah.
just talking.
Oh,
We're
good.
just
We can talk about
talking
political
guns in
corporatism if
general.
you want, buddy.
sure.
Okay, so CT,
Sounds more fun. Yeah.
CT, I wanted to know if you were on the same page as me. Do you think it's like logically consistent that if you sell a gun to someone, right, personal transfer, equal exchange, you don't do a background check, but in the system where you originally got the gun, they have it registered to you. He goes off a year later or something like that, kills someone with the gun. Should that person who gave him the gun be held responsible?
I don't think so.
Pedro, can I elucidate a little bit further?
Yeah.
Yeah, so our legal system is predicated on a concept called good faith, which basically means that you act on the information that you know at the time that you're acting on it.
There we go.
So,
Nice.
Yeah, so for instance, if you're like, hey, Andrew's a good dude. As far as I know, he uses pencils for homework. I sell him the pencil or whatever. And then a year later, same pencil, he stabs me in the throat. There's no fucking way you could have known that shit. There's no third-party accountability. So good faith is a concept where you can't be judged for being like an omniscient God. You can only be judged for what you know and when you know it.
Yeah, but this hurts my head because you said earlier, you're like, look, the chances of people using these items in a way that's irresponsible is astronomical. So if we already concede that that's true, why do we give a shit about it anyway? Why not just like throw guns out like they're fucking candy? You know what I mean? Guns for everybody.
Because we have two social issues that are oftentimes blended for Democrats to beat us over the fucking head with gun control. There's one issue, which is like inner city drug gang related violence. That's one issue, and all the homicides that correlate with that. And then there's another issue, which is mass shootings and terrorist attacks. Mass shootings and terrorist attacks are specifically mixed on purpose in order to conflate the two issues in order to make mass shootings and terrorist attacks seem more real or seem more prevalent. But basically, I would say that it kind of, when you have a society that's filled with fucking guns and crazy people, mass shootings and terrorist attacks are going to happen, right? So the only thing you can really do is have the ERPO with the jury of your peers in order to make sure that the system isn't being abused, right? That's the only thing you can do for mass shooters and terrorist attacks. When it comes to the background checks, the only thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to minimize the amount of high quality firearms that are going to like gang members. Now, here's my concession already. 90% of the firearms used in gang related crimes aren't even fucking purchased.
Right,
They're
stolen.
burglarized and stolen from vehicles and from houses. So that's where it's like, but what we're doing is like, just because like there's a 90% problem and then there's a 10% part of a problem doesn't mean you don't close the 10% of the problem and then come up with a better solution for the remaining 90.
But they don't even address the 90. That's the problem. They don't even put a spotlight on that at all.
Well,
it's all focused on the 10.
Well, right, but the
make it seem like it's 90 to most common people. They would think it's legal guns that are killing most people. And
Sure.
It's mass shootings that are killing most people.
Sure, and there's some variables that can be controlled, and there's some variables that can't. So for instance, like Culture Thug. By the way, like I'm only passingly familiar with your work, but basically what I would say is like I caught the Keith Woods in your stream. Keith Woods is an interesting dude, interesting philosopher, and then. What I would say is like, you know, I think I heard both of y'all talking about like political corporatism or like how to conceptualize the body or whatever. And then that's kind of an interesting question because like I'm a civic nationalist. So like I basically see all people who have American citizenship as a part of the corporative body and therefore they need our time and attention. Not trying to straw man anybody in the room or anybody in chat, but I just want to say what I think is the problem when you talk about the 90%. When you're in race realist or ethno-nat circles, they say that like the people who because crime is disproportionately racialized, the racial groups that are disproportionately committing crime, they're not part of our corporate body, and therefore we don't need to worry about them. Like fuck them. They're outside of the tribe. They're their own problem. Let them figure their own shit out. That's number one. Number two, if you get a concession and you move into like, okay, they are our problem. We are an American society with equal rights under the law, and we need to, help them as much as possible. Then what's going to happen is there's going to be a breakdown in communication along race realist lines for race realists, where they say like, hey, it doesn't matter if you give people universal pre-K. It doesn't matter if you give them good quality schools. It doesn't matter if you give them equality of opportunity. This is like majority biological, and as a result, you can just flush money down the fucking drain, but it's not going to change stats, biology, or action. And that's kind of my summary of why do we not focus on the 90%. It's probably because we can't reach consensus on how to address the 90%.
How would you address the 90% culture, Doug?
Are we talking guns or people here? I kind of got lost.
I think we're talking about social violence.
Yeah,
Social violence.
basically. I don't know. It just the conversations evolve, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, obviously, if we're talking 90%, we're talking gang culture and all that. I think you first address that. Because, yeah, we do throw a lot of money into the inner city and into black communities, but it's misused. What is that money even doing, right? No one addresses the culture that's going on. In fact, they've, made a whole business out of promoting a very degenerate culture, very selfish culture, very materialist culture. Like that's like what they're known for, is that promoting that kind of culture. So when you have that dominating a community, how the hell do you expect them to want something better or believe in a greater community that is America, right? So I think you first address it by addressing the culture and dealing with that. Why do these things happen? Why are there so many fatherless young black youth out there? And dealing with all of that and like seriously addressing that, whether it's a spiritual thing, whether it's a structural thing, whether it's a cultural thing, whether it's a capitalist kind of thing. Whatever it is, like addressing that. And we never even scratched the surface on that. So we can keep, Head Start program this program that, and we constantly get the same results because, no, you don't need to say it's because of biological reality. It's because I think we've misused our funds and we're not even addressing what's really going on in that community.
Yeah. There's
really
a
quick
couple of questions.
counterpoints.
Sure.
I wanted to ask something fun actually, because I had this question written down. Favorite gun manufacturer? Mine is Sig Sauer. Go.
Nice armament.
Nice. And then CT?
I don't know. I'm not a gun guy.
He's not a gun guy.
That's okay.
Yeah, coming on to chill, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is
uh,
an interesting back and forth that they're having. I want to hear it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Knight's Armament and CZ are my two favorites. So, yeah. So I guess this is kind of an interesting question because I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Do you think like culture is like malleable and changeable and can be like manipulated and propagandized and all that kind of stuff?
I think we're living examples of that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I actually literally fucking hate that I'm probably gonna have more consensus on this fucking show than a different one. But anyways, literally was talking to a fucking libertarian, and they were kind of saying like, fuck the schools, fuck enforcing, principles, fuck propagandizing young people into behaving properly, fuck, civic virtue and all this kind of stuff. And the thing that seems so blaringly obvious to me when it comes to education is you're getting people's kids when they're like 5, right? 4 or 5. And you have them until they're 18. What a prime opportunity to educate people, not just on mathematics, not just on history, not just on like some, clean version of science or whatever, but also to like emphasize like civic virtue, personal responsibility, emotional intelligence, how to deal with the world, how to negotiate with the world, and how to be like a better human being overall. And for me, it seems like a sincere lack of a missed opportunity where people don't even think that like civic virtue or principles belong in the classroom. And that to me is like a crying fucking shame.
Well, it's even sadder now because they are finally starting to do that, but with wokeism. Now that's becoming the morality that's interjected in schools now. So it's like they are actually doing that now, but now it's all wokeism. And like, if you're not for this, you're a bad person. And this is what makes a good person instead of ethics. Yeah, it's even from our universities. There's, unless you specifically take a course that deals with ethics, you're not going to have any kind of ethical component to your education at all. And yeah, that's
well, and this is where I feel like conservatives are absolutely fucking missing the boat. Just absolutely missing the boat. Where if you wanted to promote economic intelligence, if you wanted to promote fiscal responsibility, if you wanted to promote families or intelligent emotional relationships or anything like that, and if you wanted to have any of that have a conservative or religious based lens, like I'm not religious myself, but I think there's a sincere importance for religious ethic. That a lot of the ethics that we carry as a society are introduced through religion, and therefore those ethics need to be promoted. That's where, for me, it's like by conservatives just conceding public education, where they're just like, fuck it. It's woke bullshit. It's progressive bullshit. We don't need to go to school board meetings. We don't need to become teachers. We don't need to become professors. We don't need to do any of this kind of shit. What it's basically done is it's completely conceded one of the most powerful social influencing forces in the country to a completely different political paradigm. And when I bring this up, I basically get shit on because it's like, oh, you want what? You want fucking conservatives to go into like SJW fucking progressive hellholes and fight for, more conservative education? It's like, yeah, I do. I want you to stop being fucking pussies. I want you to stop jerking off on the internet. And I want you to go become teachers and nurses and doctors and people who matter in our society. And I want you to use the power and influence that you have in order to promote positive ethics across society. And when I get kickback on that, I get really pissed off really quick. So,
yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I would think it's going to be more realistic with a top-down method instead of like a localized thing. Like, I think it's too late in the game for this long game eventually, or essentially. But yeah, I agree with that. And it is sad. They've given away education. Entertainment as well, all of that, all of these things, like if you would say like a conservative ethic or whatever, even a Christian ethic, they kind of gave away their place on all these parts. And yeah, you see what you get out of it.
But this is where creating like parallel structures is incredibly important to me, because this is something that like libertarians and ANCAPs and ANCOMs talk about all the time, right? So basically what you're talking about there is you're talking about like creating things outside of the system that help promote your agenda. This obviously can be used for nefarious means. It can be used for positive means. And what I'm talking about here is like community engagement, talking, mentoring kids, like all that kind of stuff, like mentoring, people in how to come up in your view correctly. These are all things that can be done. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, this is where I get into the economic argument. When you're working 60 hours a week, it's hard to be around for your family, let alone your community, which is why, even though it's like a leftist fucking argument for a living wage, like I still think that like we need a certain standard of living. That way people can be engaged in their communities. And I see these things as tied, where the people who are productive, the people who work their ass off, the people who care about ethics and all that kind of stuff, they're the people who are going to be productive naturally anyways. And they're going to work their dicks off. But when they're in a system and they have to work 60, 70 hours a week and they don't even have time to promote their own, to take care of their family, take care of their community, go to church, like all that kind of shit, they're just bone fucking tired from their week. Then what ends up happening is the society fucking collapses around them because they don't have that extra energy to put back into their community. And this is what kind of fucking pisses me off about ANCAPs and libertarians who are like, nah, fuck it. Like, if you want to stop being poor, then you just need to work fucking harder. And it's like, dude, like the system doesn't fucking work that way. You could work 80 hours a week as a dumb fuck 7-Eleven employee and never get anywhere.
Well, unfettered immigration isn't helping that, counterpoint.
Well, say that again.
I said immigration policy isn't helping with their living wage.
Yeah. So this is where I kind of become not a globalist, but like an internationalist. One of the most like frustrating things for me about the left or whatever, like especially the anti-borders left, is they're like, the solution to every problem is immigration, right? War, everybody can come. Economic strife, everybody can come. Problems at home, everybody can come. You're gay in a country that hates gay folk, you can come. Like that's just the solution to every fucking problem, right?
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It is.
Yeah. So whereas instead of bombing the fuck out of places and basically like we could be a lot more efficient with our military might, and we could be a lot more efficient with our soft power in order to promote stability in other countries, like in Central and South America. That way, immigration to the fucking United States isn't the only fucking option. You can stay at home because it's not a fucking shitty place to be.
So I'm hearing use our military power more wisely, promote stability in other countries. Are you an expansionist by any chance?
A little bit.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Little
Let me ask
bit.
CT something here real quick. Culture Thug.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you. What is Culture Thug's immigration policy for the United States, man?
I think first moratorium on immigration, first and foremost, to understand what's really going on and then proceed from there. I don't even think you can have a policy without even knowing what's going on in our country. So I would advocate a moratorium, examine what's going on. I think there's a pathway to citizenship for the people that have been productive here illegally, and straight deportation to those who haven't. So, I think pathway to citizenship also comes with like taking ESL classes, like government provided, so they speak the language. I don't like this. Oh, you can speak whatever language you want in this country. It's like, no, you have to have a common language for us. Like government provided, so they speak the language. I don't like this.
Whoa.
Moratorium.
Yeah.
We're getting feedback. We got a feedback loop.
I think it's
I think it's coming from Rach.
Yeah. I think she got it though. CT, are you an expansionist in any way?
No, I'm more of an isolationist. Yeah, I'm more along that line.
Counterpoints is laughing his ass off. He's
No,
like,
no,
I don't think he is.
I don't like assuming people's positions or whatever. Before
He's not an ethno nationalist, just so you know.
No, but obviously like there's a whole spectrum, right? A belief, even within like ethno-nat, even within like Christian nationalists, even within Groyper, non-Groyper, all that kind of shit. Like there's such a varied perspectives that it's hard to know exactly where people land, right? And then part of the reason why I'm like okay, so expansionist. Like expansionist is a broad term, right? What I would say is, so let's say that we do. This is my problem. We do the moratorium on immigration, right? But everywhere else, including like Central and South America, are destabilized, failed narco states or whatever. That's not going to stop people from coming, right? They're going to want to come because they're going to want a shot at a better life. And then you're in this dynamic where basically you literally have to like build a fucking wall and put like landmines on it and like all that kind of shit and hard deport every single person who actually does get into the country. Which sounds like a lot of fucking work for.
We need jobs. I mean, we need jobs. So yeah.
The economics would actually be interesting to talk about, especially in the current state of American economics. I think that'd be really interesting to talk about. But just to make the point, part of the problem is failed states. That's part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying the United States should walk into every single failed state, bomb at the shit.
We're not good at it, though. We suck at helping people, in all the other countries. We suck. We have a bad track record at it. So we destabilized a lot of them by interjecting ourselves there. So we're not good at that. That's why I wouldn't agree with that. Like, if we were actually good at that and we can help these people and get them, to build a better civilization for themselves or nation for themselves, great, but we suck at that, so I wouldn't want to keep doing that.
But CT, I thought you said you like Alexander the Great, dog. Remember
yes,
those days?
I do, but Julius Caesar's my favorite, though. He went back to Rome and had the revolution in Rome. Yeah.
Well, and bringing these.
Guys, I popped on really quick just because since you guys started talking about immigration and how we're dealing with international affairs, there's a huge elephant in the room that people don't ever talk about, which is the fact that our lovely representative republic allows us to have basically a shadow government called the CIA is the main thing I wanted to talk about. We can't really fix diplomacy on the front end and, present diplomacy to the world when we have our CIA doing the stuff that they do behind the scenes, like with drug trafficking and with funding people like the Taliban and stuff like that. I mean, what Counterpoints was talking about, he had a very good point. Like, let's make the conditions such that America is not the only option and the entire third world isn't clamoring to come here. How do we do that if the CIA is running all kinds of game behind the scenes that our represented government is either unaware of or can't do anything about.
Yeah, I'd actually like to address this because I don't think it's that big of a shift from their current capacity set, and it's actually really interesting that we kind of bumped into this conversation because I was literally talking to a former Canadian CIA agent like 20 minutes ago, or like an hour ago, I guess now. But the point is that like the CT's right in some respects, and then I think there's some historical examples that would be counter to this. Basically like Europe after World War II, Japan after World War II, South Korea after the Korean War would be examples where we've done nation building correctly. And what that was we didn't try to completely change the culture. We just changed the cultural parts that were nefarious or against us. And then we supported them like economically, militarily, all that kind of stuff while they got their feet under them. And in a way that was like long term. We are still in Germany. We are still in South Korea. We are still in Japan right now. So to answer that point, it's like, yeah, we suck at nation building in Afghanistan, but Afghanistan is goddamn. That's like one of the biggest challenges. I don't want to dodge, base mom real quick. So what I was saying is like, how do we do this? Oftentimes you can do this with like, one of the things that I'm a big advocate for is called foreign internal defense. It's what our special forces do, where they train indigenous forces to be responsible for their own security. That's how you send in 30 guys and they train 10,000 in order to be an effective fighting force. And so that way, one of the reasons why we're taking in tons of Afghan refugees, the reasons why we take in tons of Central and South American refugees or asylee seekers, is because we're partially responsible for fucking those places up. Whereas where you take a consultative approach, where you're saying like, I'm not running the show, I'm just helping you run your shit, that has a different level of moral responsibility. And I know I've been talking for a while, so I'll shut the fuck up. But
yeah, I don't know if that really addresses things like Fast and Furious or some of the drug running that we've caught the CIA doing in South and Central America. I mean, it's like a lot of the time our elected government has one policy that they talk about and show the world, and that, you hear all the candidates debating about anytime we have an election. And then the CIA is doing things behind the scenes, like with the Bay of Pigs, like with Saddam Hussein, with Osama bin Laden. I mean, we're talking about the covert operations that you don't find out about until 20, 30, 50 years after the fact. So talking about diplomacy and talking about policy, to me, feels kind of futile when we have agencies, intelligence agencies, not just ours, but MI6, Mossad, everybody's got, their secret behind the scenes intelligence agencies who are running drugs, laundering money, setting up secret assets in foreign nations. So we can talk about training, people to defend their own country and things like that. But how do we take care of this behind the scenes, shadowy, what the people who are doing the real policy and making the real decisions?
I don't think you do.
Can I try and address that?
Sure.
What is the purpose of MI6, the CIA, and all these shadow organizations?
Well, there's their stated purpose and there's what they actually do. So again, it's a public policy and a public face on something where they say, well, look, every country needs to know what's going on. We all need intelligence. We have to find out, who's really running things in other countries. We need intelligence so we know if there's an imminent attack. It's a national security issue to have intelligence agencies. But what we always find is that they get caught doing things like Iran-Contra. They get caught doing things like Operation Paperclip. The list is so long now of things you can just go to Wikipedia and read about now. This isn't even top secret stuff.
But you're saying it directly too. But she's saying it directly too. That's the poster they put outside on the front window. The real purpose of them is to do what? We need to keep our country on top, so we're going to just start messing everybody else up.
It's actually, it doesn't have anything to do, so the CIA does not necessarily have the best interest of the American people at heart. All of these agencies work together to benefit generally the global elite more than anything else. The CIA isn't doing anything for the people.
Yeah,
They're doing things for Klaus Schwab and those guys.
Can I address this though? Because here's the thing is like we with a little bit of an expansion and definition, I think some of this stuff can dovetail really quickly into tangents that I don't like, but here's what I think we could agree on. Is that like intelligence agencies predominantly in the Western world or whatever, they are not serving specific nation states. They're not saying this is our border. We only protect our border. We only care about our country, our nation, etc. What they do though, is they do enforce a certain level of like Western capitalist hegemony. And I don't use that term with derision. Like I'm not criticizing this. I am the beneficiary of Western capitalist hegemony. This fucking microphone was probably, created by slave labor in fucking Malaysia or some shit that is enforced by Western capitalist hegemony. And so what I would say is that there's, this internationalist like scheme of intelligence agencies and military agencies and law enforcement agencies enforcing, global capital, as leftists would call it, to basically like enforce international trade routes and all that kind of stuff. There is nefarious stuff. There is dirty stuff. There are people killing each other. There are people manipulating each other. But ultimately what ends up happening is, if you look at it on a global scale, is we do have secure access to energy. We do have secure access to food. We do have secure access to consumer goods. So we can malign the means through which we get these places, like the banana wars being like a famous like early 20th century example, where we literally went to war on behalf of banana corporations to make sure that they were able to like maintain their social power in Central America and export products to the United States. That seems like small potatoes or small bananas for a national government to be intervening on behalf of a business in a different country. But at the same time, as a result, you have these international logistic chains that are so powerful that we can't even fucking understand how powerful they are. And so that's where, like, for me, like when you zoom in on the dirt of like CIA had an assassination program in, Vietnam, CIA destabilized Latin America or whatever. We supported the Shah of Iran after they deposed like a democratically elected fucking representative or some shit like that. A lot of these things, everybody in this room is ultimately the beneficiary of when they have secure access to material goods.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, because this whole entire, my oldest daughter's 20. We went to war in Afghanistan when she was a baby. I think she was like 7 or 8 months old when that happened. And her whole entire lifetime, we've been over there doing what we've been doing. And I don't think I could argue that she or I are necessarily the beneficiaries of that, because there's no alternate history timeline we can look to see what would have happened had we not done all those things, had all those things not unfolded the way they did. And the CIA was completely involved in manipulating all of that. To even homeschooling my kids now who are 9 and 12, to try to explain to them what the hell we were doing in Afghanistan, telling them about the Big 9 event, right? And then why the F we went to Afghanistan and then to Iraq, and the whole WMDs thing and Saddam Hussein being our guy. Try teaching them actual history. It's really convoluted. It's really hard to explain to them. And I think I'd have a really hard time explaining to them that, no, but it was for your own good, kids. We should be thankful for this.
Oh, that doesn't mean it's not blood-soaked and terrible. And Sansel, I know you came on, but I have an opportunity to do my favorite history rant. So,
yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool. So basically, this is the history, and if people in chat want to Google a couple of things, I would actually appreciate it if they did. We support, this could actually all be traced back to Iran. We supported a monarchy after they tried to nationalize their oil. We took this over from the British, who originally were imposing their will on the country, and then we took it over as a geopolitical interest to stabilize oil supply through the 60s and 70s. So we supported the Shah into the 70s, and he was increasingly unpopular and used increasingly authoritarian means in order to maintain power, including imprisoning people, torturing them, all that kind of stuff. And we didn't really care because we wanted access to oil. Oil is important. So, in 1979, the Iran-Iraq war kicks off because Iran undergoes a originally democratic revolution. We can't stop it. A theocracy emerges from that. And Saddam Hussein tries to capitalize on the chaos in order to seize oil fields. and it starts getting his shit pushed in. He just gets his ass kicked. So he's starting to lose the war. And there's something called the Riegel Report. Riegle, Riegle. And what this is the United States, Germany, and the United Kingdom, in order to make sure that Iraq didn't lose the war, because they're on the front doorstep of Saudi Arabia, which is the second largest producer of petroleum on the planet, we sell Iraq dual-use chemicals and like botulism and anthrax and VX and like all this crap. So we don't sell them the finished WMDs, but we sell them all of the stuff that can be used to manufacture WMDs. And the CIA actually does consult on target placement for these weapons in order to make sure that they're used effectively. This results in Iranians being killed in some of the most horrific ways that you can possibly imagine. So Iraq is actually able to prevail, but then because Iraq finds out, we were doing Iran-Contra at the same time, where we were selling weapons to Iran in order to fund narco guerrillas in South America. Since Saddam finds out that we're playing both sides, he's like, fuck you, United States. Even though you gave me a bunch of money, you also fought against me simultaneously, so fuck all of y'all. I'm going to go after Kuwait, I'm going to go after Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to go after Israel. Because fuck all y'all motherfuckers, you're pieces of shit. He's not our boy anymore. He bit the hand that fed, right? So we have a problem, because he's got WMDs now, and he invades Kuwait. During Kuwait, there's two things that Osama bin Laden cited as his motivations for terrorism. One was we covered for Israel when they invaded Lebanon, and Christian militias in Lebanon under Israeli surveillance slaughtered 3,000 Muslim civilians, and we covered the Israeli withdrawal. So through complicity with Israel, we are the bad guys for overseeing the slaughter of 3,000 Muslims. And this is the Phalanges was the Christian militia that slaughtered people in Lebanon. Then the second reason why Osama bin Laden cited that he hated us was because Saudi Arabia called on us to defend the oil fields instead of the Mujahideen. So basically, it was a geopolitical betrayal of the Muslim people to have a bunch of degenerate, Western, evil, douchebags on Saudi soil defending Saudi territory. And those are the two reasons, those are two of the reasons that he cited for doing 9/11. And so what I would say is then you get into the war on terror, and I could talk for another fucking half hour, but I'm not going to. The point is that these things are complex, but it's not an omniscient, omnipotent CIA that's playing everybody all the time. It's them riding the political forces of history that have their own current and momentum. And I'll shut up for now.
Hey, Sonzel, have you met Culture Thug?
I have neither.
I'm going to dip out
met...
for a minute so Andy can bring in some other people.
Yeah,
right.
see ya.
Catch you
Have
later.
you met
I've
Culture?
never met nor heard of. How's it going, buddy?
How's it going, Sonzel?
So Sonzel's our dirty resident hippie. I enjoy bringing him on and just raking his face all over the coals because he's an evil progressive bastard. But that's just my take on it. CT, you're a pretty big history buff. Did you, as you were kind of listening to Counterpoints go through all that, did you have anything you wanted to respond to in all of that?
Well, first, I don't think we need the CIA to get oil, so we can have cheap gas. Like, I don't think that's a good argument. We're watching China now probably do it the better way. They're getting countries in debt that are owing them now. And then through that, like, they're not going in there, toppling governments, interjecting their culture in there. They're just instead saying, hey, we'll build this for you and you'll owe us, and they'll never be able to pay them. So they stay in debt like that. Then they get whatever resources they want out of them through there. So I don't know. To me, that seems like the better way to go than sabotage. But I also agree with them. It comes from the government down. Like, the CIA wouldn't exist if the president, openly went and attacked it or openly went and shut it down, or if the people did. So yeah, I think the CIA is just a tentacle. It's not like the head of this creature. It's just another tentacle of it. So they do what they do. And it largely, look, sure, we might get 30 cents off gas, let's say, but it largely is for the companies. We get crumbs from what the big companies get from the benefits of all of this going into other countries and toppling governments and interjecting our views, our culture in there. We get crumbs for that. Americans always get crumbs for that. That's one thing Trump was saying, was that we should keep the oil, right? And you would think in previous times of war, you conquered a place, you took all the resources, they were yours. That's not the case anymore. So the people don't benefit from it at all.
Why isn't it the case though? Like, we were talking a minute ago about immigration being a problem, and we all know that the cartels are really the problem in Mexico, and it's right there. And we wouldn't even have to spend more than 2 weeks if we actually used our full military power to take that thing over and then slap everybody with a social security number and say, all right, you guys want to be American? You're American now.
Well, it's not,
and do an overhaul.
Not like that anymore.
Yeah,
Pedro,
this is kind of like a meme solution of mine, where like we invade down to the Panama Canal, down to the Darien Gap, and we're just like, hey, you don't have to come anymore, because guess what, motherfuckers, you're Americans. You're getting fucking fiber optic internet.
Who's memeing though?
You're getting
Who's
water.
Memeing?
We're demolishing your shitty houses. We're building better ones. You're all about to become a big fucking suburb and a mall.
We planted a flag on the moon. What's the problem here?
Yeah,
and real fast with Iraq, before I forget this.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more nuance than that too. We had sanctioned Iraq. We were strangling them before he went into Kuwait and anything else. We were strangling these people with sanctions. The same gas we gave them, we called atrocity for him using them against his enemies, the Kurds at the time. So yeah, it was a lot more nuanced than that, and that's usually our most sinister way of battle is sanctions, like we're doing with Iran now. We do with North Korea. We do with Venezuela. We're like, and Cuba. Like, look how much they fail. Oh, their system sucks. It's like, well, no, you strangled them off from the world, so it's going to have an effect.
Yeah, but this is something that I'm trying to spread this meme as far as I can. I think it's Clausewitz or something like that. He says that war is just diplomacy by other means.
Yeah.
And that's where I want people to start conceptualizing warfare, not as this like, okay, we are in a war now. We are going to move chess pieces on a board, and when you destroy this piece, I start losing the war. I think we all lost some brain cells playing like Command and Conquer in the 90s and the 2000s, right? So
I gained brain cells from that. Thank you. Awesome game. Why don't you not bash Command and Conquer on the Crucible?
Listen, I absolutely love Command and Conquer. I just think some of the politics in there leave room for the imagination. Okay, so the point is that like I just want people to conceptualize that and be a little bit more sober and be more adults, where they realize that like sanctions and diplomacy and soft power and hard power are all spectrums of the same thing. There's factional institutions that are advocating in their desired best interest, and then they use soft power when they can, and they use hard power when they can't. And it's a spectrum of reaction, start to finish. And then the only other thing that I wanted to say though about like whether or not this was important, I think it's okay in the modern era to look at petroleum and say like, oh, we got nukes, we got renewables, battery technology is coming online, we're diversifying, we have fracking. America is an oil net exporter instead of an importer. But in the 70s, that was not the fucking case. And you can go back to like the OPEC embargoes or whatever. That seriously fucked a lot of people, where like prices skyrocketed. People didn't even have the ability to go get gasoline. And that was because the Arab world or Middle East and North Africa said, fuck you, United States. You're reliant on us, not the other way around. So we're going to...
Was that over the 7-Day War?
Yeah.
If I'm correct?
If I remember correctly, it was a middle finger to us for sticking our finger in their eye. But then after that, we were like, nah, you don't fuck with us like that. Like, and that's kind of been our interest in the region since.
No,
energy
see, I agree. I agree with your mentality. I disagree that
is it necessary? Is it necessary?
Yeah, no, I say we don't benefit from it. Is what I'm saying. The people, I say, largely who benefits are the corporations, weapons manufacturers, and everything else. It's oil companies, etc. So that would be my only thing to it. Yeah, you're not wrong with what you're saying. Yes, these are all valid things.
But the reason why I want to push back a little bit, just a little bit, smidge, respectfully, is like the frame, like the plastic in your room is a petroleum byproduct. The gas you drive in your vehicle is a petroleum byproduct. like anything that has plastic, rubber, or anything in it, like your computer, your micro, like all of the things that I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at a plastic light, plastic webcam, plastic monitors, plastic computer, plastic keyboard, plastic.
We drink
mouse.
from plastic bottles that kill our sperm. I get it. I mean, I'm glad you trade all that shit. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying though.
For like a moralized society, if we had an ethical society, take my fucking plastic. We don't need this shit. I mean, but no, I get what you're saying. Yes, we all benefit to that extent. But actually, the people we pay for those products for benefit the most from it. What I'm saying
we don't disagree there. We don't disagree.
Okay. Yeah. My whole thing is we're not sanctioning people who's like, yeah, working class people will benefit from this.
No.
Like,
Fuck
that's
that.
Never the mentality.
I do view this, by the way, like I do view this as like a predatory hierarchy, by the way. So I know, not trying to name drop or anything, but like I know Keith Woods is a nationalist. And then like I know that you have kind of a tough reputation. But the thing about it is, the thing that I think that like fascist doctrine or nationalist doctrine gets correct is corporatism. Okay, is basically treating the country like a body and saying like, is my spleen working properly? Are my lungs working properly? Is my brain working properly? The criticism that I have as like fascism as a doctrine or like hyper nationalism as a doctrine is that you can, especially when it's ethno. You can identify people outside your ethnic or religious group as like a parasite. They don't belong here. And as a result, you either do like hard deportation or, this has been some of the pretext for like previous ethnic slaughters in history, right? So while I think corporatism can be a powerful analytical tool to understand how society functions, I don't think that, or I think its power to be misused cannot be understated. And then what I would say is in America, if you wanted to say we are not operating under a corporatist model, we are operating under like a hyper individualistic, dog eat dog, Darwinian, fucking hyper libertarian, hyper individualistic society. I'm not going to disagree with you. And I also do think that leaves a decent chunk of like really, really negative externalities, like really fucking bad, unprincipled, immoral, amoral shit.
So, Sanzel, you look surprisingly presentable tonight, like you took a shower at some point. Can you hear me okay?
You're muted.
You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
There you are.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do my best, all right? I thought that I would look pretty for you, all right?
I'm just glad that you finally decided to take a shower, maybe brush the hair a little bit. Maybe the headphones are hiding half your head. Maybe that's the...
Yeah, you know what? I do use that as a crutch sometimes, yeah.
So what's your take here, Sanzel?
I'm just taking it in. I'm not entirely sure what we're talking about, like foreign intervention or something along those lines.
Well, yeah. What we're kind of talking about is my wife came on, and she kind of said, how do you guys plan on really getting anywhere when you have maybe what we would consider the deep state, which would be CIA operatives and things like this, or the CIA is an organization, or these intelligence these intelligence agencies kind of operating outside of political powers. That was kind of the point she was moving towards, is what it sounded like to me. So they kind of went through, Counterpoints went through a little bit of a history lesson with that, and him and CT were kind of fleshing that idea out.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like for me, when people say the deep state, I feel like this is just like vaguely alluding to something. Yeah.
I was just saying. So when we refer to, if we're going to define the deep state, we would say that it would be organizations that have officials that are put in place who aren't elected, who are there oftentimes for lifetime appointments, who have a lot of influence inside the United States policy, even though they're not elected. That's what the definition of like deep state would be.
Oh, okay. Well, so in that case, I guess I can't disagree with the fact that they have some sway over like international affairs. It's just, I mean, so far, I don't know exactly what has been said that I would necessarily disagree with. I thought we were going to be talking about guns, so I'm just like listening.
We kind of went off on a tangent.
You can't be talking to CT about fucking guns and shit when he doesn't know shit about it, but he does know political corporatism and fucking nationalism like a motherfucker.
But to respond to Counterpoints real fast before we get off topic, So with like ethno-nationalism and all this, that's not something that can exist in America, right? Like we have to understand that this is a multiracial, multi-regional, multi-religious country, and we have to make that work to the best of our ability. So that
I reject
model,
the multi-religional.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Because like, as far as like distant right thinkers or whatever, I whenever somebody says like, hey, there's a smart motherfucker who knows his history and like all that kind of shit, and you know, basically he's got his shit together. Like, you know, obviously you've been impugned morally, but your name is often dropped, right? So my question, while I have you, is there's a concept of like ethnos, right, or like the people, or like all that kind of stuff, and sometimes people like very hard definitionally will say like, oh, like the ethnos is the character of the country, and it's and by the way, I'm trying to understand, so if I butcher this, just let me know. But it's kind of like the cultural expression, the religion, the language, like all that kind of stuff, and it happens in a certain time and place, and it evolves over time, and all that kind of bullshit. And what was interesting to hear or to conceptualize is America, or the United States of America in particular, has a colonial past. We have Native Americans, we have blacks, or, you know, people who were brought over as slaves. We have, you know, kind of this like multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilinguistic thing that we are pushing towards. But obviously, like, Anglo society dominates in a lot of ways. English dominates as a language. So is this, so do we have an ethnos, or are we like a divided, fractured, schizophrenic anti-culture?
I view us like, as like the Ottoman Empire and the Roman Empire. Like we're not an ethnos for that reason. So if you go to Germany, if you go to Switzerland, there's an ethnos there. There's something that stemmed from a people that's been there for quite a time, and they made poetry, art, laws, culture, food, everything else that came from it. This was their natural expression. Us, becoming white was a legal thing at the end of the day. Like to be white was to have all the legal representation that the Constitution gave you. Remember when we first made the Constitution, most white men couldn't even vote because they didn't have enough property. So it's like the goal was always becoming this legal thing of white. So personally, I would say if we ever had like an ethnos or an American culture that was organic and original, it was gone like through the Civil War. And the remnants of that was the Wild West. And then once that was gone, it's like that we went to this new thing now. Now we're just largely like purchase our culture.
So
it's like commodified.
Yeah. So follow-up question. Would you view like the original ethnos of like American society as like Anglo-colonial? Like would that have been like the original thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't even say colonial. I would say Anglo, but also there was this escaping from Europe from persecution, right? And then through religious, and then that kind of turned into persecution from the king. So there was always this kind of rebellious, there's always kind of this rebellious, and which kind of led to Manifest Destiny, to going conquering, you know, the untamed West and all of that. There was always kind of this rebellious thing, and that was part of the culture, the original culture of this country. That's definitely long dormant now, but I would say that was one of the most fundamental parts of what was like organically American, was that Manifest Destiny thing. That made people take that risk. Remember how dangerous that was to cross the new world back in those days.
It's a good way to die. Very
easy way to die. Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? I thought those ships had 100% survival rate across
But
they're just one rat away from death, man.
So I know I know like fucking social justice warrior, whatever, cringe like identity politics or whatever. But just to show how like why when people attack like the civic identity of the United States, the reason why it offends me personally, is because I'm Irish. I'm ethnically Irish, right?
Oh my!
I speak,
first slaves of America, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, right,
sorry,
but I speak English. I might be a little bit more grateful for the intrigues or political power plays of the United States of America, but it's because I have a good life. My parents raised me; they're still together. You know, they're Christian conservative. I'm, you know, I don't know, culturally Christian, whatever. And so I see how the system has worked. I see the way that it was set up. I see the way that my parents participated in it, and I'm grateful for what I have. And so the reason why I get incredibly butthurt about like Chris Nats or F Nats or whatever, you know, basically attacking the concept of civic nationalism is because for me, it's like, it's the only tie I have to this country. If I don't have some kind of like English Enlightenment, philosophical, principled tie to the country, I got fucking nothing. And realistically, I should be fighting Angloids because they're the fucking people who came after my people, right? So like you're kind of opening this box of like inter-ethnic, intercultural conflict when you attack the civic structure of the country. And then Sansa, I'm sure you'll want to reply to this. That's why I get frustrated with leftists who say you don't need a civic or philosophical foundation to the country for people to coexist. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck, like, how the fuck are you even like a part of my country if we have no principles or no ideals that bind us? And that's part of the reason why I defend those things.
You want to explain that, Sansa?
Sure. Like I was gonna say, like, what things do you put above? Like, what is the hierarchy of those things? Like, I agree. Like, there has to be like some like things that tie a community together. I don't disagree with that, right? But it can be, these things can be around anything. Why does it have to be around either ethnicity or around, like, I think the civic thing is more defensible than like race or religion or something like that. But like, what is the hierarchy of these things for you? Like, what do you put above others?
Yeah, I'm gonna commit cringe in right-wing spaces. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so for me, like America is a liberal or libertarian project with some very foundational philosophical bedrocks in order for people of different ethnicities and different languages and different cultures and different religions to coexist peacefully. And so I kind of boiled that down because I think the Bill of Rights is, you know, probably the main way in which this is philosophically founded. And so I would say it's the freedom of conscience, right? As enshrined in the First Amendment. It's the right to self-defense, even up to and against the country that founded you. That's enshrined in the Revolution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Second Amendment. And then it's also primarily in the Fourth Amendment, but it's seen in all the other amendments, which is basically what I would say is like limited government. Not limited government in the libertarian sense, where I think you just need to cut everything down. And sorry, I can't pay attention to chat or I'll lose my fucking mind. So not a libertarian sense where you got to cut everything down and small government and all that kind of bullshit, but a government that obeys the rule of law and follows its own laws as it sets forth. And so the reason why you need those things is because if you're going to have, as kind of CT and I were talking about, people from different ethnoses, people with different languages, people with different religions and all that kind of stuff, they need that foundational structure, specifically like with the right to conscience, to respect somebody else's philosophical difference. If you don't have that, they're going to attack each other. The right to self-defense, because people have different perspectives, they're going to attack each other. People, when they attack each other, they have a right to defend themselves. And if the government becomes authoritarian, they have the right to destroy that as well. And then when it comes to limited government, it's because that's one of the foundational things of like all republics that destroy it, is when there's a whole series of rules that are respected for a few hundred years, and then we start disobeying those rules. Once you start saying that the law doesn't mean anything, then literally it's just words on fucking paper. So at that point, it just becomes a struggle between factional groups over who has the most power.
Yeah,
it seems like you're looking for glue counterpoints. Go, Sanzo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with what you're saying right there. Like, it seems like whenever I hear people that are like much further right than me, right? Like, in my beliefs have
turn your mic down just a little bit, Sanzo. You're hurting my face.
Sorry, I had it turned up because wisdom teeth. I had to keep my mouth largely closed because I didn't want to rip the holes in my face open.
Even with your wisdom teeth out, you still can't shut your mouth. But anyway,
I can't.
All you got to do though is just turn it down just a little bit. You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was going to say was that I lost my train of thought. When my beliefs have moderated to a certain degree over the course of me streaming and talking to people from other perspectives, right? I was in a huge lefty echo chamber before. And so before I was like, who fucking cares about the country? Who fucking cares? Right. But, and I don't like have any specific allegiance or not allegiance. I don't care so much for like the label United States of America, but like the way that I interact with the rest of society, the way that I interact with my friends and my family, this is like a broader cultural and like political umbrella that we all kind of fall under. And I can agree that if we don't have this like social contract, this glue, the social contract that Counterpoints is kind of alluding to, then yeah, we kind of do devolve into anarchism, and that's fucking cringe as shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Social
so are you
contract's
saying
not
glue
enough,
for
though.
like ivermectin or some shit? What the fuck are you?
No, it's one of the ways that I phrase basically cultural cohesion.
Right.
I think that culture is very important, and so I always look for some type of glue fabric. So whenever I reference it on the program, I say the word glue, and people kind of understand what I'm referencing as far as cultural cohesion goes.
Well, question.
But it looked like
Question
it
about
sounded
that.
like. Well, hang on, just a second, counterpoints, because it sounded like CT wanted to respond there.
Yeah, social contract is not enough. That's why I'm not a civic nationalist. I'm a cultural nationalist. Right? To me, it's a difference. You can't make a set of laws and make people actually view themselves as brothers or cousins and unified because there's a set of laws this country was built upon. That's kind of the thing, what they call the magic dirt. As soon as you come to America, you accept the Constitution, you're American. Not really. That's not how it's been working. So I think there needs to be something more. I think shared destiny is probably the strongest glue we can build upon in this country. If we all have a shared destiny, we'll all be working towards that. But I think you need a lot more than laws to bind people. And of course, I'm going to argue the state does that through the power of the state, creates that monoculture where all these smaller multiculturals can exist under it, as long as they're under that big tent of the monoculture.
But what is the monoculture that you would promote? Like, what monoculture?
Like I said, our shared destiny. Our shared destiny is our monoculture, America. That's what binds us. We all have, despite being black, white, Catholic, atheist, from the South, from the North, we all are interconnected and have a shared destiny in this country. If one community is doing bad, back to the corporatism model. If the spleen is doing bad, we focus on the spleen and fix the spleen. So we want the body to work. It's a full body. So that's like our shit. That's our monoculture right there. It's not a, certain this and that. It's our unified destiny with each other and realizing that, manifesting that, having everyone believe in it and buy into it. So, they can be a part of, we don't have, gangs, crimes, and at least not at the levels we do now, because people are actually invested in a country that they get back from. I think that's how that's that monoculture. Underneath that, let people be people.
Yeah, Sansol, before you interject, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. CT. So I think the reason why people get freaked out around like ethno-nats or whatever is because of that like exclusionary rule, right? And then also like when it comes to like history of like slaughter and gay folks and all that kind of stuff and atheists and all that kind of stuff, like gay folks, atheists, trans folks, and basically like ethnic groups that aren't in power, at least historically, tend to be the ones that are either excluded from power or on the chopping block from an ethnic basis.
Wait, do you consider gay to be an ethnicity?
Yes. I'm kidding. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
The gay race.
Like, damn, he sounded smart up until now.
Yeah,
we were on the train and then now we just
listen. The gay race. Okay. So the point being, I think the reason why progressives are so like reflexively like anti communitarian, anti corporatist, anti right wing in a lot of these ways. Is because of the history of abuse and the history of hierarchy when it comes to fascist or monarchies or whatever. And then all of that to say, I already got an awesome concession out of Sansol over here that basically we need some kind of glue. And then for CT, I think where we agree, but have the potential to disagree, is that school is an excellent time to come up with whatever civic virtues or shared culture is going to be promoted to young people. That way they view each other as a collective body, that they're worthy. They should care about their neighbor, regardless of like race or whatever. And then
caring about neighbor.
What book?
Question?
In a different language.
Question.
I honestly think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Question to. They make me laugh so much. All right. So
no, man. Practically hard.
So BPF.
I'm like holding my cheeks like this so that I don't fucking open all the fucking holes. Fuck.
Yeah. So BPF to get to my question. Do you view, because I don't. Do you view Christianity as the glue that's necessary to maintain America or to make America healthy again or something? Muted.
With the most
I'll
obvious
speak with him
answer
now. Well,
up.
of course, yes, I do. But what I think needs to happen is for everyone in this room to convert. No.
But the question was for me. So the answer would be categorically yes in the United States. But I'm going to caveat that because my position on it is that religion in general is the only thing I've seen as something that can actually act as cultural glue. I've never seen anything else that can take its place ever. I've just never seen it, not anywhere in history, pretty much ever, for any reason.
And if I could chime in for a second, counterpoints.
Rome had gods, you know.
Yeah, but they allowed other people to have their gods, just like the Ottomans did. It's like they didn't force everyone.
Well, no, they did kind of. Yeah, I mean, so the Greeks kind of had their gods, and then the Romans renamed the Greek gods, and almost everybody was polytheistic. Mm-hmm. And it was a heavily religious society. I've just never seen. I'm not saying that there can't be. So me and CT have gone back and forth on this. I'm not saying that there can't be something else that can act as glue. I'm just saying that I can't indicate what it is unless it's a codified system. So an example of this might be like chivalry or Bushido or something like this. I think that maybe a code might work. I'm serious. It did work. I've just never seen anything besides religion and maybe a couple of, systems of codes that have actually worked as a cultural unifying glue. I haven't
abided by Bushido or by chivalrous.
But enough of the culture.
Right? Well, look at this counterpoints. The language you were using the whole time while I was listening to you, you said things like, care for one's neighbor. Mm-hmm. What specific book, I think, actually teaches that curriculum? What would provide that?
Here's the thing. I can care really quick. I can care about other people, and I largely have over the course of my life, without having to be told by God. Right? I grew up in a religious family. Right? My dad was a pastor. Right? I know what the Bible says.
Oh, I see. So your entire foundation for your youth came from the Bible. Thanks, Sansa.
I mean, not even, because I didn't really pay attention in church because it was so normalized for me to be in church. I just didn't listen when I went. I played a fucking Game Boy Advance while I was sitting there.
You can still get some osmosis, though.
I mean, sure, but like I still think that the kinds of things that I learned from or the kind of way that I interact with people is not because like, oh, if I don't do this, then God's going to be mad at me. I have an underlying feeling like, well, those are other human beings. I can have empathy for them. They're like near me, right? They have a similar conscious experience, et cetera, et cetera.
They all be true, but your entire worldview is completely and totally constructed from Christian value structures. Period. There's just no way to get around it. It's
not necessarily though.
Well, Sanzo, can I just chime in for one thing? You just admitted that you were in the pews when they were giving you the message, playing a Game Boy, right? And counterpoints very much identified that there is some things that are going to be breaking through, even though you're not concentrating on it. What if you would have actually put down the Game Boy and listened and actually thought through critically?
It wouldn't be a filthy utilitarian.
Yeah, sure. I can actually like point to like the difference between me and my brothers, right? So for example, both of my brothers were much more involved with the church than I was. We had like a weird thing in the changeover between churches where both my older brother and my younger brother got more into the church than I did because of when we changed churches, right? My older brother got it from the first church. My little brother got it from the second church. I switched over. I was of the age of like the youth group and when people get make friends right as we switched over. So I didn't make very many friends at the church.
Can I ask you this really quick?
I'm almost done. We all have the same values, right? And they can point towards like things in the Bible that where they get their values from and how they like construct their values, right? And that's fine. And I don't have a problem with that, right? But I still have those same values. I can't point to like a specific part of the Bible, right? But I still have those same values, right? I've never like whenever my parents told me that something was right or something was wrong or that this was like a good thing or a bad thing, they didn't use the Bible to tell me. They just kind of explained it in a secular way. And I don't think that was like a purposeful thing. It was just the way that they taught it to me, right? And that's the way that I went through life. And I don't think that there's like a major difference between these things, right?
Okay.
I'm going to make you laugh, Sans. I'll read this comment.
Yeah.
Damn.
Of course.
So, okay.
Counterpoints, you go. You wanted to talk.
Yeah, so basically what I was going to say is, committing cringe in right-wing circles again, I'm a fan of Jordan Peterson, okay? The reason why I'm a fan of Jordan Peterson, hey, don't worry. Don't worry about it. All right. The reason why is because he cares. Okay, he cares, not necessarily, or used to, anyways. Used to care about preserving the ethic more than he did like the religious dogmatism. So why do these stories matter? What are the ethics that we're supposed to be withdrawing from them? How do you incorporate them into your life? How do you live a good life? These are all important questions. And there's a bunch of stories that I read as a child where I was like, the Tower of Babel, or even Genesis, where I was like, what the fuck is this talking snake shit? What is this, multiple languages shit? And he literally just extrapolated out the meaning in a way that I was like, oh, as an adult, even as somebody who's not, religious, I can incorporate this into my life. I can turn this into something positive for me and those who surround me, because I was able to engage with the ethic and the spirituality and all that kind of stuff. That's not everybody. Lots of people need religion. Lots of people need that firm foundation. Sure. But what I would say is that the preservation of the ethic is the most important thing to me and should be culturally promoted. I am not like a cultural agnostic. I do not think that you can say like, hey, well,
what ethic?
What ethic?
Yeah.
I would say like Abrahamic, Judeo-Christian, predominantly.
Just ethics. Step over the line. Counterpoint.
Come to the line.
You can arrive at the same conclusions without the Bible, right? That's what I'm. That's where.
But you did it. But this is Sanzo. Sanzo, 1 second. This is where you didn't arrive at the same conclusion. You said something very key here. You said, "I'm doing this so I don't get in trouble with God." That's not what we teach. This is where if you would have put down the Game Boy, you would have learned we do this because what God has already done for us, because he loves us. That is a chasm.
Well, not everybody. Not everyone feels like that.
Yeah, right. CT, are you agnostic or atheist?
Agnostic, yeah.
Okay, so we're way more on the same fucking page. So the thing about it for me, this is what bugs me about Christianity is the glue, right? Okay, I want to preserve the ethic. And I think that people are going to get their moral virtues from somewhere, and our pop culture sucks. So if you don't have like civic virtue or principles like ingrained in the culture, and then your popular culture sucks, then people are going to have shitty lessons because they learned shitty lessons. Most people think that like Walter White is some kind of fucking hero instead of an anti-hero, right? Like that. If you thought he was, he's badass, but he's an evil motherfucker, right? Like, so don't be poisoning kids with ricin, okay? So the point is that like,
I know, he killed a bunch of Nazis at the end of that whole thing. What a fucking... I agree.
All right, stop memeing.
See what I did there? Okay,
yes, yeah. I did. But the point is the ethic is what's worth preserving. And for me, it's not like, I know I'm memeing about the most extreme parts of the right, but it's not Jewish manipulation that got me to doubt my faith. It's not secular society that got me... Well, maybe it is secular society that got me to doubt my faith. But it is questions that I don't think can be easily answered. And by the way, I don't expect to be answered in this conversation in the next 12 minutes. Like, right. Why did God, according to Christian tradition, manifest himself as a carpenter 2,000 years ago during a time in history in which like science wasn't as aggressive as it was? That's a weird fucking thing to do, right? Why am I judged on morals and virtues that are handed down from this tradition, when realistically, like, these morals and virtues have evolved through social observance, but they're not perfect observations. There are good moral observations in the Bible, but not every single moral observation is absolutely perfect. Okay? So that means that this is humanity trying to chip away at the transcendental and the spiritual and the eternal. But because humanity is flawed, they are taking their own human weakness and they're putting it into the book. So what that tells me is that I know I'm committing heresy on your platform, and I'm sorry for that.
No. We're letting you go.
Yeah, we're
You're never getting attacked for this kind of
loading up. Believe me, they are loading up right now.
Pedro most certainly is going to have to respond to this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So to finish it, it's not like Jewish manipulation that's keeping me from being Christian. It's my own doubts and criticisms as religion as a whole. And to me, it seems more likely that mystics throughout history and across the globe have made moral observations and codified them into religion. And this is all our fucked up attempt to try to understand spirituality or eternity or God. It's not a set dogmatic set of rules handed down by God. It's us trying to understand them.
Okay. So the first why first.
Mhm.
Why did Jesus come into incarnate form and a God pretty much enter into creation? I think you already have heard this. He's to die for you and demonstrate his love for you.
Right.
Right. What's the second why? Say the second why again so everyone's tracking.
So I would say my second why is like, why would you choose to manifest yourself in a time in which like science or history was not in its like fully developed form? That way miracles could be observed and studied and confirmed to be real.
I would say it's because he is sovereign, and in that sovereignty, he gets to choose exactly what he wants to do. And he has no obligation in his creation as the creator to give you any kind of kosher answer.
Right. And then my final thing is, since religions and moral systems have developed across the globe, and it seems that some moral observations in each religion are correct and some moral observations in each religion are incorrect, I would put this more as like mystics and philosophers trying to chip away at the face of God rather than God actually manifesting himself in reality. So this is more of a criticism than a question.
If I could form it into a question though, the reason why man does such things is because they obviously want to just idolize aspects of themselves. If you read about any of these characters like Zeus, Odin, and all of them, they're always talking about certain kind of glories that they won on the battlefield through personal acts and stuff like that, which really communicate to human nature, right? So it's derived from the fact that you are now, because your federal headship in Adam, I think you know what this is if you've had Christian parents around you, seek to be in rebellion with God naturally. You form these idols pretty much because your heart, your being does not want to actually worship the correct God. It wants to rebel, so it creates these other idols in your life. Today, it's not any of these gods like Zeus or Odin. It's electronics. It's more raw, like sex and pornography and stuff like that. So that's what's actually happening. The mystics were just trying to draw you away from the truth by using a little bit of the grain of the truth. That's why you see them have some semblance of, okay, that is a correct thing you just said there, because those are how the best lies are crafted.
But like we're also pointing to the fact that the Bible has some stuff in it that you probably don't follow, that like has a moral system in it that you don't follow 100% of the way, right? So like if they're just
if you're talking about my capacity as a human being to fulfill completely and perfectly the law of God, you're correct. I'm
but like even the things
that
you probably wouldn't. Do you think that women should like have to go to the tabernacle and get washed when they have a period so that they don't
Well, I would ask for context.
You're talking about Jewish law.
Old Testament. You gotta separate Old Testament from New.
Okay, yeah, but here's the thing. This is the problem I have with stupid ass arguments like that, Sanzo. How many books are in the Bible?
I don't know off the top of my head. There's something like 12 in the New Testament, something like that, right?
So they're all different books, right?
Kind of. Some of them.
No, they're all different. They're all different.
Well, they tell some of the same stories, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they're all different books. So if CT, would you do me a favor and point your camera at your bookshelf?
My bookshelf, yeah. Back up.
You see all those different books there? They all say different things. So if you were to indicate on that bookshelf that one of those books said something that you disagreed with, that would suddenly negate everything every other book says. That would literally sound retarded when you said it out loud.
But if you're basing then you would have to say, like, if you're basing your moral system off of this collection of books, right?
The glue.
And the glue, right? The glue that holds all the paper to the spine, right? Then if there's some kind of contradiction, if there's a contradiction between two of those books, right? Then what?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that think of it like you're thinking about it again the wrong way. I'm trying to explain it to you the best way that I can, but I'll try again. Some of those books explain Jewish law. They're an origin in nature, not what you're supposed to currently practice right now. Okay, so just because you have history books that explain to you, A led to B, led to C, led to D, and you're following D, doesn't mean that you have to follow everything that was in the history going up to it. That's what a new covenant is. That's why the new laws exist.
But okay,
well, counterpoint thoughts. I have to go swish stuff because I taste blood right now.
So,
I have to make sure my mouth isn't bleeding more.
Poor
so
Sanzel.
this
made him smile.
This is my
God has interjected in the conversation.
Yeah,
Get out of here, Sanzel. God doesn't want you here.
Yeah. So all right, so this is my limitation, right? So by the way, like I'm like an agnostic deist. I think there's a fundamental creative force. I think that creative force has basically manifested laws in the world that are naturally observable. I think that we can make choices based off of those observations of those laws, and that when we follow those laws or rules, we thrive, and when we disobey those laws or rules, we destroy ourselves. I think
you're
that's
awesome.
true. Okay.
You're awesome. This is the book of First and Second Samuel. What you guys said earlier, our ethics, for some reason, we cannot consistently uphold them.
Right.
And across time, they fade. It's because you don't acknowledge where the ethics originally derived themselves from.
Right. And so this is where I want to, kind of acknowledge that source, right? Because I do believe in that source. The issue that I have specifically is making claims about a plane of existence that I am unfamiliar with and I don't know. So heaven, hell, afterlife, all that kind of stuff. I don't fucking know. I don't know if I die and it's lights out. I don't know if I die and I get to drink sweet tea on a patio with Jesus. I have no fucking idea, right? So that
sweet tea would be perfect sweet tea.
It would be perfect sweet tea. The reason why I am perfectly okay with like maintaining ethic and maintaining concepts and like because I think these things are important for people to live good lives. I think that philosophers and all those kinds of people made those moral observations, and the ones that are good should be incorporated into people's lives because when they do, they tend to thrive, right? Like that. That's why I think the ethic is important. But when it comes to specifically like this this battle with Sansol about source, my issue is the perfect God revealing himself to humanity. Like, it's hard when we have to keep caveating Revelation over and over and over again that it's like, okay, well, this part of Revelation is incorrect because it's actually a historical context. This one is correct because, like, it was said in this time. These two contradictory books that, like, kind of have Jesus, like, in different, like, emotional states or different descriptive states. You're supposed to view it through the lens of the prophet. Therefore, like, these ones aren't supposed to be, like, canonical in that they're, like, literally factual based. They're viewed through the lens of the prophet. This is a lot of context and backtracking. While I do think it can be valuable to contextualize these events so you're not a fucking asshole who thinks it's all bullshit, I do think it's a lot of backtracking for the revelation of an omnipotent being who has made creation. And so that's where, for me, it's easier explained by saying that humanity has tried to chip away at the eternal and the spiritual, but the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita or the Tao Te Ching or whatever is all
false doctrines compared to the Bible.
Okay, well, and we do have a difference of opinion here, but
my opinion would be based in I have a tenacity of evidence that is indisputable compared to any of those others.
Well, okay, and actually, here's a point of concession that I think would be interesting. I actually do think that Christianity is more ethically correct in a lot of circumstances. So, for instance, like Buddhism can lead to like a disconnection with reality, where you like,
light yourself on fire.
Yeah, well, yeah, where you're just like, hey, nothing exists, nothing matters. The only thing that's constant is change. Therefore, like, I'm going to become an incredibly passive human being. And while I can tap into deep meditative strategies or meditative tactics that are really interesting, I don't think it leads to like a really engaged human life, right? And then same thing with the Tao Te Ching. If I remember correctly, that's like from Taoism, which it's like everything is one thing, right? That can kind of lead to like a self-fulfilling like logical fallacy where you're like, oh, everything's one thing, so like I don't really give a fuck because I'm part of the all. So this sleeve, this meat sack that I'm a part of is ultimately irrelevant. And again, I don't have to care about my own life because I'm all sourced from one thing, right? It kind of denies, the interesting parts of being human and being an animal and being engaged with reality and all that kind of stuff. I could go down the list, but the point is that there's a lot of things that I think are specifically important that are in the New Testament that actually help us lead better lives. So while I don't think that it's divine revelation, I do think they're incredible. They're incredibly important meta ethics, and they are more correct than other meta ethics.
What meta ethics in particular?
All right. So for instance, like, I think Nietzsche's going to disagree with me like a motherfucker.
Well, I'm a big Nietzsche fan. That's why I asked that
question. So what I would say is, again, like, I haven't read all of Nietzsche, right? But I just know what I know, right? Mm-hmm. So slave morality, right? So I think that slave morality is one of the most derogatory terms that you could put towards that mindset. And also, I think that slave morality, if you want to call it that from a Nietzschean perspective, it's a meta ethic of agreeableness, right? It's a meta ethic of basically, taking care of your neighbor, communitarian.
Well, no, conformity. It's a meta ethic of conforming. That was his whole thing, is that Christianity judges man ugly, so they make the world ugly in that model, right? And instead of like climbing to new peaks, you're happy with being mediocre. Instead of being the wolf or the lion, you're happy being the lamb, the sheep.
Right.
But CT, can I challenge that really quick? What if the real teaching is you are better than this?
Yeah.
It still gets the same results, though, in the end. I mean, even if it is you're better than struggling and overcoming and having like a desire for something more. I mean, it's still the same outcome in the end. That's his whole thing. Like, it made people conform instead of made them quest more and wonder more and strive more. And
before hang on, guys, I'm sorry. Before Counterpoints has to go, we only have them booked until 11. It's 11:01. There was somebody who came on who wanted to quickly give you an earful about you and what he considers you talking smack about Buddhism. So I'm gonna let him come on. He's our very own commie slayer, Cheshire Cat. Say hello, Cheshire.
Hello.
And you wanted to give him an earful, but he's going to give you one right back. So be prepared for it.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand your point about Taoism being very complacent, because in that at least in the sort of text of that faith, it does sort of tell you. So I think the exact quote is to be like air flowing through rocks. That you're air, and that you are the sound of air flowing through things. So you should just sort of take life as it is. But what about Buddhism, do you think, makes people overly complacent?
So I think I use the word can, but for instance, like one of the and by the way, just because like something makes you not live a good life doesn't mean it's not true, right? So for instance, like with Buddhism in particular, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think one of the founding principles is basically that like the only constant in the universe is change. Life, death, family, relationships, all these things are temporary. So as a result, observing that and rooting yourself within the permanent fact of change can grant you like a certain amount of like peace and acceptance of terrible things as a result of change being the only only constant.
Well, that's not really true. While the physical world is supposed to be ever changing, the idea is that striving so much for physical and hedonistic gain is stupid, because ultimately you spend your life wanting to become rich, and then you gain all of that wealth just in time to die, which is sort of the irony of Buddhist faith. But the human spirit, the human part of you, is constant. In fact, it's so constant that you keep getting reborn with the same soul, just in a different context. So Buddhism does specifically focus a lot on making sure that while materialism is sort of a no-no, that human-to-human interactions are supposed to be heightened because of it. So for instance, like the moral precepts of Buddhism, most of which just make you a good person and a better person to be around other people.
Okay. Well, hey, people are waiting on me, so I do have to wrap this up in the next 5. But honestly, like, I had a fucking blast tonight. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I get it. Like, you're all evil, neo-Nazi, Christian nationalist pieces of shit who are gonna slaughter everybody in their backyards.
Expansionists.
Yeah, but it was.
So says the expansionist. Yes.
So saith the expansionist.
Counterpoints. We were super happy to have you on.
Yeah.
Respectful conversations are generally what we do at the Crucible. We do have spirited debates. We do things brutally sometimes, but I always demand that my guests show each other respect.
No, it's
see, I don't see where we disagree. So counterpoints. I'm sorry, you're a fascist. Now I'm sorry.
Nah, that's fine. It is what it is. That's what all the leftists called me anyway. So I mean,
well, there you go. Okay,
it was inevitable. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah. So I do want to bullshit for like another 10, but I really can't. I gotta go. So I'm just gonna shout myself out real quick if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my name's Connor. I run a YouTube channel named Counterpoints. I am a filthy centrist civic nationalist who likes Jordan Peterson and does think that slave morality has some redeeming qualities. If that's a complete turnoff for you, then you're probably not going to be happy checking out my content. But I am a Marine veteran and a law enforcement veteran. So if you're interested in like violence, violence, science fiction, philosophy, politics, or religion, then chances are I have something that you'll either like or something that you'll hate. So either way, check it out. Type in Counterpoints, common spelling. And then it was a pleasure being here.
One more thing, too. Counterpoints is also widely known as being one of the best good faith debaters currently on the internet. If you guys want to set something up with something that might be actually interesting, let me know or let him know.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually do want to debate him.
Says
on
something about the wider community that he's seen as the best faith one.
What's that, Pedro?
Counterpoints. I want to debate you on a 40K topic. Why Sanguinius is the best Primarch?
Well, the problem is we agree.
There we go,
dude. Sanguinius is fucking far and away the fucking best. So yeah, too bad we agree.
Have a good one, buddy.
Yeah, I'll catch you.
Cheers.
All right.
Okay, so Kat, you and Sanzel got a little bit of
All right, y'all. All right, so I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to be talking shit about anybody that was there. But the host is Big Papa Fascist. So obviously it's in the fucking name. I don't know how hard he's memeing, but he at least seems to be like a Christian nationalist. I think he would probably say that. Pedro appears to be as well. Big Papa Fascist. I don't think he's, based off of that conversation, he's on Ethnonet, but he is viewed as one of like the largest nationalist philosophers on the internet. Like he's one of the biggest dudes. So basically what I would say is we were just in the room with one of the most like nefarious, like infinitely more reputationally nefarious people than Lauren Southern. So like Lauren Southern is fucking, basically super chill compared to CT, but CT also knows his shit, knows his history, knows how to debate, knows how to position his arguments, all that kind of stuff. So it was actually kind of interesting being in the room with him. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if y'all want to ask questions, at Counterpoints, so at COUNTERPOINTS, just start asking questions when I catch up with y'all. We're going to be done for the night. And then I'm just going to post the link, patreon.com/counterpoints. The Patreon is live. You can become a YouTube member. You can do a super chat. It's not required, but it is appreciated. We still have plenty of equipment to buy. We still have plenty of money that we need to pay Taze. I would like to do this professionally eventually. If you have a couple of $1 dues burning a hole in your pocket, then go ahead and do a super chat or become a member or a Patreon member. And then if you don't worry about it. Just do @Counterpoints in the chat and I will answer your questions. So that was really interesting. I was really concerned about, kind of like improper platforming when we were just bullshitting about guns, but I'm happy we actually got into some meaty subjects tonight, because it was interesting to explore Christian nationalism and ethno-nationalism or nationalism in general from these people's perspective, because again, these are some of the roughest right-wing characters on the internet, so it's interesting talking to them. Longwood Potion Castle at Counterpoints. Roboot Gilliman is best. Fight me. He's the best because he's alive. That's fine. ZJW74 at Counterpoints, way to platform such evil people. Yeah, I did. That was bad platforming. I don't think any of you are going to become fascists, but I do hope that some of them were considering, like, why do people not take religion as seriously anymore? And why does, and interestingly, Cultured Thug is supposed to be like the most evil, dude out there. But he was basically saying, like, no, like the state needs to intervene. It needs to promote a healthy and happy culture. And, black people and ethnic minorities are a part of the United States, whether we like it or not. We have to create a civic body or a cultural body that actually, promotes the health and well-being of other people. Of course, he's going to disagree on the details. I don't know his details. Maybe he doesn't like gay folk. Maybe he doesn't like trans folk. Maybe he doesn't like black folk. Maybe he doesn't like Hispanic folk. But the fact that you basically have what amounts to an internet nationalist, unapologetic internet nationalist, saying that publicly it's not room for concession, but it is room to get his people to reconsider what they believe about politics and what other people want to achieve. So DRC Gaming at Counterpoints, when I can play some Halo with you. You can play it now. When we're done with questions, send me a DM on Twitter at _counterpoints_, and we'll send you the link. You can come play with us. We'll probably play until 2 or 3 in the morning East Coast. And Dronovan at Counterpoints, did you talk to CT yet? I'm late. What was the context, or what would be good context? Probably American nationalism. Yeah, mostly nationalism. And then also, how do you build like a civic identity in the modern era? So it was like a panel, so we did get distracted and go down like rabbit holes and stuff. But talking to Culture Thug was really interesting. A lot of dissident right people recommended that I talk to him, and he lives up to his reputation. So I obviously don't like his politics, to say that mildly, but at the same time, he's philosophically consistent, and I find that interesting. So, yeah. Eric Coda at Counterpoints, do you have the same criticisms of Stoicism as Buddhism? Yeah, obviously it's good for crises, but it's not good to become disconnected from your life. So I think Stoic philosophy has a lot of power and a lot of utility, but it can be misapplied. Cullivar at Counterpoints, so when you were there talking to Big Papa Socialist, Communist, Fascist, Guahaha, finally got you to be with me, they're all the same. No, they're not, buddy. No, they're not. And we probably just need a voice chat about it already. Cullivar at Counterpoint, so if Robo Girly Man and Angron get into a fight, how much would the fandom not care? Yeah, pretty much. That's like the problem with like Gilliman. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, he's blonde, he's handsome, and he's a good administrator. That's not like a hero to base a universe off of. It's boring. Ericoda at Counterpoints, have you considered debating any Grapers or even Nick Fuentes, or do you see them as lost causes? I hope you do, because Destiny pulled me from that group. Yeah, actually, Ericoda, this talk with CT, I get it. Like, it might be too amicable to be talking to a nationalist or a fascist for like the leftists in the audience, but I think these conversations are important. I think they're very important for his audience to see that not everybody in the center, or not every moderate, or not every liberal is somebody who's trying to fucking chop their goddamn head off and get their fucking money taken away. There are people who are sensibly trying to advocate for a better future for all people. So, maybe it would be worth it. Maybe, I know lefties would fucking hate it, but maybe it would be worth it to go into those communities. I don't know. Cullivar says anagram the harmless. Sorry, lol. Cullivar at Counterpoints. The only ideology that allows for actual world conquest would be social democracy. Conquest meaning war, economy, social, not just violence. Yeah, maybe. Vale, listening to this, I need to educate myself. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a problem with debating smart people. Is even if their politics are trash, they can be internally philosophically consistent. Hell Puppy at Counterpoints. If the glue is just the observation, the community must be building your unifying element. Take it as a give that humans need dogma. The dogma can still theoretically be anything. No, not necessarily. What the beliefs are legitimately do matter. And that's actually the interesting part of that conversation that I didn't have an opportunity to explore, because it was so philosophically interesting to just get some level of consensus between Sansol and everybody else, and CT and me, that I wasn't really interested in pushing that button. He agrees that kids should be educated in civic virtue. we might disagree on what those civic virtues are, and I think that might be something worth exploring in a future conversation, because obviously we're probably going to disagree quite a lot on what that should be. ZJW74 at Counterpoints, I asked this during the interview, do you believe that all weapons should be allowed, or should there be a limit on what the average citizen should carry? Yeah, I think current limits are fine. I think citizens should have access to, you know, so-called semi-automatic assault weapons. But that's about it. And Dronavon, CT is good at being able to source books in real time, unlike many people who go on about sources and data. Yeah. He that's why he's dangerous in a way, is because he knows his shit. Ericoda at Counterpoints, have you ever watched Dr. Sleep? Such a good movie. No, but I want to. If that has Ewan McGregor and it's the Stephen King book, I really wanted to do that. It looks good. Calavar says everybody knows you're still a criminal. Yeah, probably. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, so I appreciate you. I forget who did the $20 dono, but very much appreciated. If you guys haven't done it already, check out the Patreon. We haven't really released any like content there, but it's an easy way to support me. And then also you can become a YouTube member. YouTube does take a cut, but you know, hey, say lovey. And then we'll do it in the future. So very much appreciate y'all, and have an excellent night. I'm gonna go play some video games. Bye.